Good morning and welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Simon here, just filling in for Jamie this week. Jamie off on his holidays, enjoying himself. Probably not a bad thing at the minute after yesterday's results. So I'll wait for a few of you to get online. Give me a shout. Tell me if you can hear me okay. Tell me and start telling me your thoughts on yesterday. Did you go to the game? Did you watch the game? Did you see the highlights on Match of the Day last night? Obviously, hugely disappointing defeat to Southampton yesterday. So let's wait for a few of you to come online and get involved with today's aftermath show. So obviously a 2-1 defeat to Southampton yesterday afternoon in what's an unusual 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff for us, really. Of late, it seems like it's been a long time since we had a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. Good to get back into a usual football routine. Matthew, morning to you. Thanks for joining me. Like I say, give me a shout. Tell me you're here. Say hello and get involved. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your thoughts are on yesterday. Give me your full autopsy on Leicester's defeat yesterday. Caroline, morning to you. Joey, you're saying morning to you, Joey. You're saying it was terrible, and answers are needed. Where do we start, really? There's lots of schools of thought in it. Certainly, the lads from Leicester Fan TV last night were having quite a debate between each other and having a good chat about it and pulling it to bits. Lots of different opinions. So let's hear yours. Joey, you're saying we need to spend in January. Maybe a backup striker. Yeah, indeed. Well, obviously Vardy played yesterday. Didn't really get an opportunity even to get a shot off on goal. I can't remember Vardy getting a shot off on goal yesterday. Rodgers tried to involve Iniachu obviously later on in the game to try and bolster up the attacking effort. He obviously had a goal disallowed, but yeah, tell me what you think. Great morning. We should have expected Saints to come at us hard after the 9-0 spanking, absolutely, and there's no doubt that the Southampton coaching staff must have used that 9-0 hammering back in October as a real motivator, and I doubt, having been embarrassed in the fashion that they were, there was any really much need for the coaching staff to motivate the players yesterday. I'm sure the Southampton players were absolutely up for rectifying the absolute annihilation that we gave the Saints down at St Mary's back in October. Yeah, we'll see. For me personally, a few players off their game yesterday. Obviously Tielemans didn't play because I think Rodgers felt he needed a bit of a rest. He was on the bench yesterday, but there was a few yesterday that seemed to wander in and out the game or didn't really give the sort of performance we've been used to lately. Why do you think that is? Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me why you think it's gone so wrong yesterday. Andy, morning to you. You're saying shocking. Well, there we go. Lots of people feeling the same as you, mate. Mark, morning to you. Like I say, let me know you're here. Get involved. Tell me what you think. I did, to be fair, start trying to make a few notes in preparation for the aftermath show this morning. In deputising for Jamie. Does such a sterling job normally on a Sunday morning. But I kind of gave up because I kind of guessed that everyone's just going to want to talk about the defeat yesterday. So I just thought I'd let you guys lead the way and tell me what you think. Jason, you're saying you saw the result coming from a mile away. Yeah, okay. Too much chat about the 9-0 leading up to the match. Our performance mirrors that of a side just looking to turn up to win the match. Yeah, maybe. Jason, I suppose, I was having a little bit of an argument with some of my Leicester mates last night. I suppose my school of thought in it is that I think there's an element of key players in the Foxes first team, those that we've heavily relied on so far this season to come up with the goods. And let's not. I don't think anyone will argue with me when we say that we have come up with the goods pretty much this season. We're in a cup semi-final and we're second in the league. Albeit obviously Man City play today can change that now. We lost yesterday, but is there an element of the Leicester City first 11, some of those key players that just look tired? Do they just look a little bit jaded? have we relied on the same players in and out, week in, week out, and certainly what has been through a very congested Christmas period, and then obviously it's been equally congested with the cup games and what have you in January. Is it that we've just got a few players now that are a little bit jaded? Karen, nice to see you here. You're saying Casper man of the match for me. Put a poor performance, so not surprised we lost. Yeah, Casper made a great save against with Ings late on, and he made some very good point blank saves throughout the game. Not really much he could have done for the goals themselves. Obviously, Maddison deflected the first one in. Yeah, and he got a leg to the second one, to be fair, so he nearly managed to keep that out. So yeah, he was good yesterday. I don't think he's let us down all season, and he was his usual great self. So I'd agree with you, Karen. He had a really good game, and he did nothing wrong. Matthew, you're saying lucky we weren't 3 or 4 down at half time. Yeah, I would agree with that. I felt that our goal in the first half was a little bit against the run of play, to be fair. It wasn't really us that was building up the pressure or was having the multitude of attacking opportunities. It was really Southampton, and then we broke from a Southampton attack, and it was really Perez, wasn't it, with that fantastic pass to Vardy on the left that had the vision to get up really quickly and take that pass that got that move going and caught Southampton's defence out of position. So pretty much pretty much for the bulk of the game, it was Southampton that were driving the agenda of the game and were driving the game forward. So yeah, indeed, Ings hit the bar a couple of times within the space of a minute from memory in the first half. So yeah, I'd agree. We were lucky not to be more down than we were. Mark, you're saying shocking. Let's grab top 5 and win the League Cup. And I suppose, Mark, there's a little bit of truth in that. I think for me, I'm only giving you my opinion. I'm certainly not saying that I'm the oracle and I'm right, but I would agree with that. When we started this season off, we all hoped for European football, and that meant top 6. The fact that we're second, and I suppose now we'd all be collectively quite upset if we didn't end up finishing in the top 4 now, shows that the impressive nature of the way the team's played so far this season has led to that success. So even though yesterday, this is only my opinion, even though yesterday was a below par performance, I thought several of the players were off. At the same time as that, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and it is one storm in what is a long summer. So let's see where it goes, mate. And I think for me overall, still this season's still been a great season. It's certainly not been a disaster. Aggie, morning to you, saying shocking performance too many players out of form, but didn't agree with the boos at full time. Yeah, and there was a few comments from the guys yesterday about the atmosphere in the ground. The atmosphere was quite poor yesterday. What are your thoughts on that? Were you at the game? What do you think about the way the crowd were yesterday? Were you a little bit disappointed with that? Let me know. Craig, morning to you. Nice to see you here with me on the back of yesterday's defeat. Tell me what you think. Gareth, you're saying last 2 games have been poor. Gareth, I would agree with you to a degree. Obviously, the Villa game, we didn't get a win in that in midweek, and that was a vital game, given that the second leg's obviously at Villa Park, for us to try and get a lead, and it was really, Borrager's own admission, a little bit of a tactical mistake in the selection of the side. And then, of course, Chowdhury came on at half-time against Villa and did absolutely cracking. He didn't play that cracking yesterday for me. He wasn't the same player as he was on Wednesday night. Tell me what you think about Chowdhury. Tell me what your thoughts are. Anthony, morning to you. Nice to see you with me. Tell me what you think. Give me your opinions. Jack, nice to see you here. You're saying Chilwell been poor all season. Yeah, that's another thing that us Leicester Fan TV guys often debate as well. Chilwell, in that he's been in and out for me, and yesterday he was one of those games where he didn't play very well. I personally thought he was culpable for the second goal. He gave the ball back to Southampton quite deep into our half, which led to the goal. He went a little bit wayward. Some of his crossing was pretty poor. The effort was there. He was up and down that left side, and he kept running and trying to get into positions, and he got in some cracking positions. He just didn't do much with it when he got there. So yeah, I'd agree, Jack. He didn't play well yesterday, but he's had some better games in the season, in my opinion. But like I say, it's just my opinion. Andy, you're saying Chilwell's not a winger, and he's been played in that position, Andy, a few times recently when Rodgers has seen fit to change the formation and he ends up as a wing back. He's been pushed forward a little bit more. Yeah, and then obviously there was that game against Man City where Mahrez had him on toast a little bit as well, and then soon after that Alexander-Arnold didn't really give him a very good time that day either. So he's had some torrid games, but yes, I think part of that's, for me anyway, has been down to the formation and the way we've set up. But yeah, well, yeah, tell me what you think about Chilwell. He's certainly someone that's on the radar for discussion, shall we say, given the fact that obviously he's an England starter at left back as well. Carolyn, you're saying it wasn't though. They hammered us 2-1. He needs Albrighton. Yeah, well, Carolyn, there's an interesting thought process. Albrighton, why is he not getting more game time? Especially if we're saying some of these guys are looking a bit jaded. Why are the likes of Albrighton not coming into the team and getting the opportunity to fill those gaps and play their part for the squad? I don't know. It's a mystery to me. Every single time Albrighton's pulled the shirt on this season, he's done a cracking job. So that's a mystery to me, Carolyn. And and again, guys, tell me your thoughts on Albrighton and whether you think he should be in the side. Dino or Dino, apologies if I've got that wrong. You're saying Iniacho should start sometimes. He gives 110% and we need new wingers. Iniacho has had those games from the bench mainly this season, and he's done absolutely cracking when he's come into the team. Really not let us down at all. Obviously, it's a slightly little bit of a different game that we play when Iniacho's playing up front to Vardy, because he likes the ball in a slightly different way, and we need to play to his strengths. But you know, when we're talking about needing a backup striker, do we need one in the fact that we've got Iniacho quite clearly on form? You know, strikers don't come cheap, do they? They're certainly, you know, if you're going to go out and buy a new player for your side and you want that person to be in the nucleus of players that's in contention to start, you have to spend a lot of money and dig deep into your pocket. So is that someone we need? Mark, you're saying you thought Chilwell was rubbish. Yeah, I agree. He didn't have a very good game at all. Matthew, you're saying our whole performances have been very poor for some time. Yeah, indeed. There's an interesting thing, Matthew, because you know, the King Power Stadium had been a bit of a fortress for us until that Norwich game, really. And since then, we've seemed to have lost our way a little bit at home. And I can't quite figure out if it's whether it's the guys just getting a little bit tired, or whether it's the fact. And this is another point that I'd like to hear your thoughts on. Is it something to do with the fact that Rodgers has chopped and changed the team too much lately, and as a result of that, we've lost a little bit of momentum? He's certainly changed the formation and the selection of the first 11 in an attempt to try and freshen things up, or in an attempt to try and negate or work against the formation and system of the team we're playing against. But as that meant, the team's got a little bit disrupted, and whilst we reverted back to a more familiar formation and selection yesterday, had all those chops and changes played a part in the guys losing a little bit of momentum and fusion together. Zab, nice to see you here. Thanks for joining me. I'm trying to rattle through these as quick as I can. Morning. Credit to the Saints, they deserve the 3 points, and I'd absolutely agree with that, Zab. I thought, whilst we can sit here and lament Leicester City's shortcomings yesterday, let's not take it away from Southampton and how well they played. I thought they came fantastically positively, unlike a lot of other teams that have come lately that have come very negative to waste time. Everton spring to mind. Burnley were chronic for it, wasting time at goal kicks and throw-ins and trying to slow the game, going down injured and disrupting things. Southampton came and they came to win, and they came to prove to Leicester that they were better than that 9-0 drubbing back in October, and I thought they were absolutely cracking yesterday. And let's not take that off Southampton. They played a great game. Zab, you're also saying we seem to play better away from home. Yeah, again, just lately, certainly over the Christmas period and into January, seem to have had better performances on the road than we have done at King Power Stadium. Tell me why you think that is. Give me your thoughts as to why you think we're struggling at home at the minute. Susan, nice to see you with me. Morning to you. Morning. What a fall from grace from Chile. Recently not in his game. Yeah, I'd agree with you again. I'm never one for getting deep into slagging off our players or being overly critical of them, because there's no doubt that for me personally, and I say again, I'm by no means an expert. It's only my personal opinion. Chilwell's certainly come up with the goods in a City shirt on many occasions, but yeah, of late he's been off his game a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what Rodgers does about that, given the fact obviously Fuchs is an option, and is that becoming a more likely or more credible option? You tell me. Should Fuchs be playing instead of Chilwell? You tell me. I mean, the great thing about Leicester Fan TV is, we can talk like this, and we can genuinely say what we think. And if you think, if that's what you think, then tell me and let's talk about it. Hitesh, nice to see you. I think we've been or being found out. If we can't get a result at Burnley, top four will not happen. And the found out thing, I think, Hitesh, is an interesting debate. In that, our teams starting to learn a way to play when they visit King Power Stadium that negates Leicester's system and formation. Of some of these games that have gone before, which obviously quite clearly the other coaches that are coming up to play in Leicester will watch and study, have they found a way now to get around Leicester's system and found a way to put a stop to the likes of Maddison and Tielemans and Ricardo getting those attacking opportunities? And are we do we need to go back to the drawing board with a blank piece of paper and find a new way to go at it? You tell me. Steve, you're saying Chilwell have been poor since links to a move to Chelsea. Interesting point, Steve. There's a few people been saying or suggesting that some of Chilwell's late performances of late have been linked to his head being turned maybe a little bit by some opportunities at other clubs. Who knows? I'm certainly not in the know enough to answer that for you definitively. It's got to be a possibility, Steve. Undoubtedly, it's got to be a possibility, and it's got to be, maybe what it's like these days with agents and what have you. They get into a player's ear for their own motives half of the time, and sometimes a player's head gets turned, especially if they've got a missus that fancies a nice apartment somewhere in a nice part of London or whatever, and it can play with the player's head. So yeah, it's possible, isn't it? It's absolutely possible. Norman, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday morning here, deputising for Jamie on the Aftermath show. I'm losing the will to watch live football. Forget the result. We went to celebrate goals as it happens, not 3 minutes later. Well, Norman, that is something, mate, that I made a note about talking about this morning, and I'm probably going to open a can of worms by doing so. But VAR is yesterday. Let's throw that into the mix and just jump off of the Chilwell subject for a little bit. Of course, if you want to talk about Chilwell, drop your comments in. But VAR yesterday chalked off the penalty for Southampton for an offside, which was, well, a millimetre maybe less. Having seen it back on the telly and seen the VAR replay, when they do those little computer lines on the pitch with whatever computer mouse or whatever it is they're using, it was literally a whisker. Is that right? Is that what we want in football? Is that what we want from football? Do we want to be giving offsides and denying a team what was a clear penalty? Because for my money, that was a clear penalty on Shane Long, because his big toe was offside. I mean, maybe it's my age, maybe it's my upbringing. To me, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, none at all, zero, and I just find it perplexing. And of course, then we had a goal chalked off, an equalising goal very late and deep into the second half for Johnny Evans, which was more significantly offside than the Shane Long thing in the first half. But at the same time as that, that was given on the pitch. So. Listen, you tell me. I'm coming to the end of my tether with VAR, if I'm honest with you. And I know the likes of Declan Rice and West Ham have been suggesting that the players don't like it. There's a lot of negative talk about it in the papers this morning. Brett, morning to you. Nice to see you. Bilal, you say Riyad Mahrez. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Fill that in for me and tell me what you mean by Riyad Mahrez. Joe, you're saying Southampton wanted it more. Last two games, most players have no urgency. Is that down to the tiredness of the team or the fact that he's changed it so many times lately? You tell me. Steve, you're saying need 2 or 3 players to freshen it up, the squad, and push for top 4, otherwise the field will slip up. Well, Steve, tell me where we need players. Tell me where you think the players need to come in what positions, and any names that you think we should go for. Michael, morning to you. You're saying buy Ings. Well, on yesterday's performance, I'd certainly like to buy Danny Ings. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I know he scored 16 goals this season so far. He's one of the Premier League's top scorers. And in fact, if them two that hit the bar had gone in, he would be up there with Vardy, from my memory, on goals scored this season. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't, to be fair, I can't remember how old Danny Ings is. I'd need to check that. But yeah, Phil from 100% LCFC's here. Sorry, Phil, it just got to you. Nice to see you here. Nice to see you joining me. Carl, you're saying gutted about the crowd. Yeah, absolutely, I'd agree with that. I thought the crowd were poor yesterday. It's a shame they didn't get behind the team more. Chris, you're saying why we gone from playing very fast play to play out from the back. Well, Chris, there's another point that I think is worth bringing up, mate, in that right at the death of the game yesterday, we were 2-1 down, we were still playing it out from Schmeichel and kicking and passing it around our own third of the pitch. What's all that about? I can't figure it out. You tell me. Hams, Phil, nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you joining me. You're saying Hams are not at his best. I heard that we gave the ball away 60 times yesterday. Well, there we go, Phil. Hamza, for me, as good as he was on Wednesday, was as poor yesterday. He looked a little bit lost in it yesterday. Didn't play as well as he did certainly against Villa in the week, and that's a shame, really. But there we go. Who knows? He certainly tried his best, but not quite on his game yesterday, Phil. So I'd agree with that, mate. Not quite. And we did. We were wasteful. We were wasteful with the ball yesterday, and that partly gave Southampton the opportunity to get so many attacking opportunities. Gareth, morning to you. You're saying too many key players not performing. Yep, I'd agree with that, Gareth. And that goes back into what I was saying earlier about, are they being played in different formations too many times? Is he changing the team too many times? Are we tired? Phil, you're saying I think the crowd got to Chilwell. Okay, Phil. Interesting thought. Are the crowd on Chilwell's back? You tell me, guys. You tell me what you think. He did have a bad game, Phil. I'll agree with that. But the crowd need to lay off him. Well, again, that goes into this thing that he has turned in some good performances this season. He's not a bad player. He's just having a little bit of bad form. Are we too harsh on some of these players? Is the crowd being negative or vocally negative towards a player? Not good for his confidence. You tell me. Adrian, you're saying Chilwell is not a world class at the back. Well, I'd agree with that, if I'm being honest with you. That sounds a bit controversial, but I'd agree with you, Adrian. I don't think he is world class. I think he's a decent fullback, but I don't think he's world class. Joe, you're saying we need to buy a target man. Okay, Vardy isn't bad in the air, but we need a player who gets on the inner cross as well. Joe, that comes back round to why we sent Slimani out on loan at the start of the season, because he could have filled that void, maybe at least from the bench. If we were in games like yesterday and we needed to go more direct, we'd have had him on the bench to come in. Craig, you're saying we missed Ndidi. That's a really good point. I'd agree with that. I think we really, really missed Ndidi yesterday. I don't think Chowdhury managed to fill his boots to the standard that he did in the week. Dean, you're saying Vardy needs more support. Looks lost on his own. Chilwell not good enough. Poor all season for me. There we go. Lots of criticism of Chilwell, or negative things about Chilwell, or worries about Chilwell this morning. Gareth, you're saying Chilwell needs dropping to get his head together. And there we go. Has he just got a big headed, given the fact he's an England international and there's talk about him going to Chelsea? Is this all going to his head? Again, you tell me what you think. Jason, you're saying last two games, how much we have missed Ndidi. Yeah, I think this is a rolling theme, and I think this is something absolutely that's, for me personally, and again, it's only my opinion, that's absolutely valid. I think Ndidi does more, not just in getting the ball back, but also in starting the forward and the offensive moves. I think he's absolutely key to that. And if you watch the games back, as I have done a few times, you see how many times it's Ndidi that's starting these moves forward and playing that important pass to get us in the right part of the pitch. So I'd absolutely agree with that. Matthew, you're saying everyone's getting on Chilwell's back, but Barnes has been poor. Yeah, he's been a little bit off his game. Absolutely agree with that. Matthew, I think whilst Barnes scored in the FA Cup game in that slightly unusual striker role that Rodgers put him in that game, he has been a little bit off his game of late. I'd agree with that. Neil, Chilwell should never have started following his performance against Villa. A poll you ran reflected 65% said Fuchs. Well, there we go. And we've talked about Fuchs earlier. Tell me what you think. Is it Fuchs? Maybe you should tell me by giving me a thumbs up for Fuchs and a thumbs down for or whatever. A thumbs down if you like for Chilwell. Tell me what you think and give me an idea. And tell me what you think about. Lots of thumbs up now appearing. So that tells me that a lot of you are feeling that that Fuchs should take Chilwell's place at left back. Simon, you're saying we've gone for Arsenal. You'll have to flush that one out for me, mate, and just tell me what you mean by that. Tell me more. Arsenal obviously struggling a little bit at the minute, despite the fact Arteta's gone to the club. Alison, you're saying Chilwell was rubbish, but I didn't like the crowd shouting, Chilwell, you're rubbish. And again, Phil was alluding to that earlier about the crowd getting on Chilwell's back. Oh, there's a whole world of a thumbs up now, so that's telling me you all fancy Fuchs at left back instead of Chilwell for the next match. Alan, you're saying new winger needed, ? We got one already, we need to play him. Mark Albrighton. And again, we talked about that earlier, mate. Absolutely, I'd agree with that. I think Mark Albrighton should get more game time. And given the fact the guys we've currently got on the field aren't necessarily playing that great, absolutely give the guy a chance. He's done nothing wrong when he's coming to the scene. Dave, you're saying any chance we can get Steve Guppy down the left? Well, he might blow and puff a little bit, mate, now playing down the left, but I'm sure he'd give it a go. Terry, you're saying that we missed Ndidi as well. Lots of people saying that. Absolutely agree. I think we did miss Ndidi yesterday. Lots and lots of comments, which is great. Trying to rattle through them as quick as I can. Neil, you're saying against Burnley we need to look at starting a couple of fresh players such as Albrighton and James. They will have more energy in their legs. When you say James, do you mean Matty James, Neil? Or tell me who you're saying there. I'd agree with Albrighton, but tell me who you mean by James. Theo, you're saying indeed it's important not to forget. Absolutely, and I think there's maybe more credit needs. Maybe we'll realise more over these next few weeks in Ndidi's enforced absence how much he actually does for the side on an offensive side of the game as well as the disruptive and defensive and win the ball back side of the game, because we all know he's fantastic at breaking up other teams' attacks and getting the ball back for the club. But maybe we'll realise, or maybe we'll all realise collectively how essential he is to then turning that round and getting the game back in an offensive way. Brett, you're saying Tielemans looks overweight. Okay, mate. Interesting comment. Anyone else think that Tielemans is looking a bit podgy? You tell me. That's what the aftermath show's all about. Getting your views in and getting it off your chest and telling us what you think. Scott, you think Chile is more of a midfielder? Yeah, okay. He certainly loves to get that forward up that wing, doesn't he, and get into the box or around the left-hand side of the box and throw crosses in. And he has a few shots at times as well, doesn't he? So yeah, absolutely. Chris, you're saying needed all sides. Ground started to be anti-more, only seems to be union. Okay, yes, you're talking about the atmosphere in the ground, Chris. I'd agree with that, and I don't think it's only yesterday. I think in general there are times in games, especially when Leicester aren't, it's easy to get behind your team when your team's absolutely flying and having attack after attack. But when your team's on the back foot a little bit, or when your team's in and out of the game like yesterday, it takes more effort and more drive from the fans to create some atmosphere, and sometimes that helps the team get going. So, tell me what you think about that as well. Steve, do you think showing those 9 goals on screen when players warming up went more in Southampton's favour? I'd agree with that. I think that probably just helped Southampton motivate themselves, given the fact that was an absolute humiliation for them back in October. Theo, you're saying Albrighton's not good enough. Interesting. Anyone else think Albrighton's not good enough to start? I don't agree with you, if I'm being honest with you. I think he absolutely deserves a chance to start, and his delivery into the box for me is as good, if not better, than anybody we've got in the club. So I'm on the absolute Albrighton bandwagon. I absolutely think he should be playing, and at least playing some of the time. Absolutely. Neil, you're saying Fuchs has always been the better defender. Well, there's been lots of thumbs up coming in since I said that for Fuchs. I think absolutely people are saying that Fuchs should be given more of a chance. I know he's played as centre half in the left hand side there as a bank of 3 centre halves lately, but he's not really had a massive amount of game time at left back. If they're going to play a flat back 4, should it be Fuchs a little bit to give Chilwell a chance to rest and just get his head right? Scott, you're saying, does Chilwell want to stay at Leicester? Well, good question, mate. Good question. Simon, you're saying time for Rodgers, and morning to you, Simon. Sorry, time for Rodgers to earn his money. Well, I think he's done that so far, Simon, but it's gone a little bit awry, I think, of late. Tom from Leicester Fan TV, nice to see you here, mate. Just getting to your point there. You're saying man of the match, Casper made 4 top class saves and doubling the ings at the end. Yeah, okay. Of course, Casper was good yesterday, very, very good, and we probably would have lost by more if it wasn't for him, Tom. So absolutely agree, he was cracking yesterday. In my match report, I actually gave them man of the match, which was obviously only my opinion. Like I say again, I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination to Pratt. I thought Pratt had an absolutely fantastic first half, and that's not just the goal. I thought he was absolutely great in winning the ball back, and was probably the only or the main creative spark in the midfield yesterday by and large, and absolutely deserved the start. So that was just my opinion. Neil, you're saying, sorry, I'll just jump over that one and come back to it in a minute. Craig is saying, do you think it's not something to do with the club coming in to sign our players and players' heads turning? I think, Craig, that could be part of the issue. I think some of the issue here is that there's some players who've got agents in their ear and they're reading the paper, or they're getting on their phone and reading the news and the gossip, and they're seeing the names being linked, like Maddison with Man United and Chilwell Chelsea, blah, 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 blah. And is that turning their heads? I mean, to be fair, in my opinion, if you're James Maddison, you're taking a step back right now going to Man United, and that's a big thing to say, and I'm sure his wage packet will be bigger. But from a football point of view, Leicester City are a better team. Absolutely. And why would you want to go to Man United right now when they're absolutely in a transition period? Just my opinion. Might be controversial. Phil again. Phil, great to see you joining me here this morning. Hope you think I'm doing a decent job for you here, deputising for Jamie. You're saying away teams either need to park the bus or press up high, and we don't seem to be able to adapt our play to it. Yeah, and I think there's been a couple of things in there, Phil, in that when teams have come and sat deep and sat back, we really have struggled to break that down, which at times can be difficult. Like in the second half against Villa. Villa had the whole of their 10-man outfield side behind the ball in the second half, and it was an absolute nightmare to try and break through that. Actually, yesterday, Southampton came to play, and they left space. But we were wasteful with, in my opinion, with our opportunities. We were wasteful with passes, we were wasteful with opportunities, and we kept giving the ball back, as Phil alluded to earlier. You know, all of those times we gave the ball back to Southampton, and that was why we got punished, in my opinion. And it was the wastefulness of our own play that caused that. Steve, nice to see you. You're saying morning. It's great to see you here. Thanks for joining me. I hope I'm doing a decent job for you guys. Deputising for Jamie. I know you guys enjoy watching Jamie's show from over in Spain on a Sunday morning. So I hope you think I'm doing a decent job for you today. Absolutely. Lee as well. Good morning to you, Lee from Leicester Fan TV. Nice to see you here. I'm going to rattle through some of these now because I'm falling behind with all these messages you keep sending me. There's so many this morning. Carl, you're saying they need to be professional. Well, you know, I think they probably are. I think they tried their best, Carl, but yesterday looked a little bit off. Scott, you're saying you agree with Phil. We need to hit hard against teams that park the bus. Yeah, I'm sure they're trying, Scott. I'm sure they're trying. But you know, when teams do sit in, it is difficult when they're overloaded to try and break that down. Scott, we need to buy in the transfer window. Scott, who do you think we should buy? Mike, you're saying swap Tielemans for De Bruyne. Well, that would be great, wouldn't it? I'm not sure Man City would want to do that, but that would be fantastic if we could. So tell me also, a lot of people saying today about the January window. Obviously, it's open. It's been very quiet so far, not just for Leicester, but for all of the clubs. Tell me who you think. Give me some names. Who should we buy in the January transfer window? Tell me that. Tell me who you think. Little bit of talk here about VAR spoiling the game in the stadium, and I think that's a relative thing. And I'm just going to drop onto that now, seeing if someone's commented about that. When you're in the stadium, in comparison to when you're watching it on TV, it's like night and day. If ever you watch a game, which I'm sure most of you do on TV, and VAR is involved, when it drops to VAR, you get to see the replay. You get to see what the guys in the office in London are doing. You can see the whole thing. You see the replay back, and whilst you might think it's pathetic, the reason why they're disallowing the goal or the penalty, whatever it is, you can see why. When you're sat in the stadium, you can't see a damn thing apart from a message on the screen, and it leaves you completely in the dark, and you walk home after time confused as to what the hell happened. And that's wrong, because for me, the paying fan should have as much respect as the fan sitting indoors paying his subscription to watch it on the telly. Absolutely don't agree with it. And Gareth, you're saying you don't like VAR, but the offside rule applies for both sides. Needs to change, clearly gaining an advantage yet. And I think there's been times with VAR that's works in your favour and it works absolutely against you. And when it works against you, you drive home or you walk home or whatever, absolutely berating VAR. But if it gets you off the hook, I suppose it gives you a different opinion. I thought it was poor yesterday for both teams, not just one. I thought it left both sides down. And for that reason, I think until they get it sorted, at minimum, they should get rid of the damn thing. Theo, you're saying Bowen would be good. Well, Bowen from Hull is another one that's talked about a lot, although the talk seems to be just talk and not actually anything concrete, just paper talk. Carl, you're saying people moaning about VAR. I think before it came in, people were thinking it was a good thing. Now we've realised there are too many grey areas. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Let me rattle through some of these. Apologies if I'm missing your message because there's so many this morning. Carl, you're saying the best chance is to go back to the long ball, fast and aggressive. Well, we need a target man, Carl, if we're going to do that, or we need someone, because Varley's not going to feed off of high and long balls. That's not his game for me at all. He needs the ball through the floor. Neil, you're saying Jared Bowen from Hull will help us, so that's another one for Jared Bowen. Jack, you're saying make a bid for Giroud. Giroud would give us some height up front. Jack, absolutely. Ash is saying players look like they're all blowing out of their arses. Well, there we go, Ash. I'd agree with you. I think the players are looking a little bit jaded, and maybe it does need a shake up. And the fact that we've got that very, very small squad means that we don't have necessarily the players to come in the positions that we need and maintain the standard of performance. And maybe that's something that Rodgers needs to look at in this window and in the summer, to flesh the squad out and to give us that extra little bit of depth, so when we get to this congested period, we're not dropping our level of performance by being tired or having to change the team and then losing the level of performance. Dave is saying a lot of balls given away cheaply. Absolutely. Phil alluded to that earlier, and Phil's here with me, so it's nice to see him here. Absolutely agree with that. The ball was given away lots and lots of times yesterday. We had the opportunities. They certainly came out of their shell enough, Southampton, to give us the opportunities. We just didn't do anything with it. Theo, you're saying you don't think Chilwell is bad. I'd agree with you, Theo. Sorry if I got the wrong end of the stick of your comment earlier. I don't think Chilwell's bad either. I think he's not playing very well at the minute, and hopefully we both agree with that. Craig, on VAR, the offside thing is getting annoying. Absolutely agree, and I'd take it out of the VAR. Make up and shake up if it was me. Well, certainly the ones that are a toenail offside, absolutely crazy for me. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's absolutely insane. Steve is saying Chilwell hasn't had a good game for at least 2 or 3 games. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Baz is saying complete week without a match could do us the world of good. Baz, good point. I think the guys need a breather and a little bit of a break. We've had game in, game out, midweek, weekend for a while, and they could do with a breather just to regroup. I absolutely agree with that. Zach, you're saying, do you ever feel the change in starting 11 is affecting the results? Yes, I do. Zachary, I think keep changing the formation and the starting 11 is having an impact on the momentum of the side. I'd absolutely agree with that. Michael, you're saying Chilwell's not a fullback. There's a few people said that this morning. Tom, from Leicester Fan TV again, you say we need to remember we have a lot of young players and getting on the back is not going to help. Yes, we've alluded to that as well, Tom, this morning, that there was a little bit of negativity in the ground for Chilwell, especially yesterday, and it's not helping him. I think absolutely. I mean, just put yourself in his shoes. If you're playing in front of 33,000 fans, of which all but 3,000 or 2,000 are your fans, and you can hear negative things coming from the crowd, it's not exactly going to motivate you or fill you with confidence to get on with it and go and do something a little bit better, is it? So I'd agree with that. Carlos, you're saying you love Fuchs. Lots of thumbs up for Fuchs playing instead of Chilwell. We're not saying that Chilwell is no good or he should be removed from the team or sold. We're not saying that, but maybe he needs a little bit of a break. Absolutely agree with that. Michael, you're saying Fuchs should be in. Tom, you're saying Mendy to play at Burnley. I thought Mendy played really well when he was given a start recently, and I'd go with that. Given the fact that young Chadji was a little bit off his mettle yesterday, I thought Mendy did enough to deserve a start the other day. So I'd agree with that. I thought he was good against Wigan. I enjoyed his performance. Neil was saying James Justin. Right, okay, that fills that in for me. Thank you, mate. So yeah, James Justin is an option. He's another option there. He's played decently when he's had a chance. Learning his Premier League straps a little bit this season, maybe going to be in and out, but absolutely, yeah, why not? Why not? He's a decent guy. Craig, you're saying our form has dipped. We need the experience at the moment. Fuchs and Albrighton, yeah, I think we're coming to that conclusion in the aftermath show this morning that Fuchs and Albrighton are two that we collectively seem to. I know a couple of people have said they don't agree, but most people seem to think should be given a chance in the first team. Chris, you're saying what about Perez? Supposed to have a good record against Southampton. Should have played him more central. Blimey, there's something we could talk about for a while, Chris. Is Perez being played out of position? Is that part of the reason why he drifts in and out of games? He's played centrally a few times lately, and I thought he looked better personally. So I think I know where I am with that one. Jason, you're saying Albrighton needs to start again. We're there again. Steve, you're saying Barnes, Tielemans, and Chilwell all playing under par. I concur, Steve. Theo, Albrighton better than we've got now, but not good enough to beat with a big team. Maybe, but he's still got a part to play in the course of the season. I'm not saying he plays every week, but he's got a part in that squad to play. And if Barnes is looking out of puff, then Christ, we've got a ready-made replacement on the bench that's absolutely gagging to play. Phil, you're saying great show. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that. Big boots to Phil today. Jamie's boots. I know you guys enjoy his show every week, so thanks for that, Phil. I appreciate that. Neil from Leicester Fan TV too. Do you think that Rodgers got it wrong, or do we need a well-needed break before Burnley? I don't think Rodgers got it wrong yesterday, Neil. And I'm only giving you my opinion. I'm not saying I'm the oracle by any stretch of the imagination. You're welcome to disagree with me. I don't think he got it wrong, but I think there's some players that, in my opinion, that need resting. And I think, Neil, from what we're saying in the chat this morning, a lot of us agree with that and think that there's some players on the bench that are more than capable of coming in and doing a job while those guys get a breather. Neil, you're saying it's the high press that is the problem for us. It pins back the fullbacks, and we've played with the system a little bit, Neil, haven't we? And he has tried to tinker to try and sort that out a few times, but we went back to that flat back four yesterday. Phil, you don't agree? You're saying you can't have the players are tied thing. Okay, maybe I'm being too soft on them, mate. Again, I don't know. You tell me. I think I believe there's two or three that look out of gas. And they need a couple of weeks out of rest, and we've got these players, as we're saying, that might not be able to do it all season, and they're not maybe quite as good as the guys that are in the team regularly, but they'll do a job. And while these guys need a bit of a breather, I believe we should bring some in. Neil, you're saying, how do you think Chilwell needs to improve his game? I'm not a coach, Neil, but I think he needs to think about the way he's passing. If you're asking my opinion, gave the ball away too many times yesterday. He was a bit wasteful with some of his crossing yesterday as well. Yeah, I think the passing side of it for me needs to be worked on at the minute. And I'm not saying that he's not trying, but I think he's lost his way a little bit with that. Craig is saying, morning, do we need new signings yet? And I've asked you that. Let me get down some of your messages a little bit. Craig is saying Bowen. That's the third or fourth time we've heard that today. Craig, you're also saying Dunk. That's the centre half from Brighton, isn't it? And then there's the other lad from Burnley, the centre half from there, that there's been some talk about whose name I always struggle to pronounce. There's a couple of, and then Nathan Ake is the other one that's just sprung into my mind from Bournemouth. There's a few sort of centre halves there that have been talked about, and this lad from Juventus that the stories don't seem to go away about of late as well. So the centre back seems to be somewhere that we're looking to strengthen. Theo, you're saying Bowen as well. Edouard, I'm not sure what you mean there, Theo. Explain that for me. Craig is saying defender and winger needed, plus Nacho and Vardy together. He tried two strikers yesterday. Obviously, we got the ball in the back of the neck, but unfortunately, it was chalked off. Yeah, that would mean a change in system in the midfield. Possible. You tell me. Tell me what you think. Steve is saying, what about the new training ground looking good? Absolutely coming in the summer, and that should be a fillet, Steve, as well, for us signing players from the summer onwards. In that, when we get some potential new players to come in, if we take them around that training ground, it's going to be massively impressive to help us to sign some players as well. That will help just to seal that deal. Neil is saying, can we get Silva back? I think he's only on loan. He is on loan. I'm not sure if there's a release clause in his loan or not. I don't personally think that Rodgers has got any ambition to bring Silva back. I don't think he sees him in his plans. I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm just saying I think that's what Rodgers thinks. Adam, you're saying Chilwell the last few games has been terrible. There we go. That's absolutely concurring with everybody else today. Peter saying I'm not a Chile hater like some, but the kid needs a game out. Lots of talk about that and lots of love for Fuchs today. Peter saying Maddison also off. Thought he was guilty of lapses in both goals. I'd agree with that, Pete. I think he's been a little. He looks tired to me. He looks absolutely knackered. He was limping for the last 10-15 minutes of yesterday, and I think he's one that needs well, almost being told to go and spend a week on a beach somewhere with the missus and go and rest his bones for a little bit of time. He looks a little bit out of puff for me, and I know there's lots of people that are saying there's no excuse for that, but don't forget, I mean, and again, this is only my opinion, I'm not saying I'm the oracle, but this is mental, not just physical tiredness I'm talking about here. Steve, you're saying James Justin should get a run out. Again, another one saying Justin should get himself in that back four or back three with the wing backs or whatever, however Rodgers decides to play. Michael, you're saying I think he got it right. They was expecting to walk it and clearly not. We seem to play better with Nacho and Vardy now. How has that happened? LOL. Chilwell gets a lot of stick, but he's doing much. Sorry, I'm just going to have to click that. Too much, and Barnes doesn't track back. I think Barnes left Chilwell exposed in the Liverpool game quite badly. No, sorry, I apologise. That was the Man City game, and it was Maddison playing in to out on the left against Liverpool that also left Chilwell exposed. So, look, whilst there has been a little bit of a downturn in form for Chilwell, he has been left at times with some of the league's best players. I mean, certainly in Alexander-Arnold, for me, he's the league's best right back. He's absolutely brilliant when he gets going, and he was left pretty exposed by the system in that game. So it's not all Chilwell's fault. It's also sometimes the circumstances, and I'd agree with that. John, you're saying indeed he's worth his weight in gold. Yes, agree. We've talked about that today as well. Peter saying Brighton were asking 40 mil for Ake. Agree. And Ake's Bournemouth. Pete, not Brighton, but I'd agree that's way over the odds for Nathan Ake. Theo, you're saying if you have good enough wingers to attack, Chilwell and Pereira don't have to work too much forward. And I think, but to be fair though, Theo, I think it's part of the system that Rodgers likes to play. He likes to get those fullbacks forward and making up the numbers in attack. Especially when teams are sitting back in and we need those extra numbers to get round them. It's part of the system. I've caught up with your messages now. Apologies if I missed any. There's so many. Adam, you're saying Gerard Deulofeu might be worth a punt. Rodgers seems not to fancy Gray and Barnes. Isn't up to it. Drifts in and out of games. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Gray, for me, is a good impact player off the bench only. Didn't have a great impact on the game yesterday, but in other games we've played this season, Gray has come on off the bench and had a really, really good impact. So, yeah, for me, he's not a starter, but he's great off the bench. And Barnes is learning. I think that's what Rodgers would say if he was sat in this conversation. He would say that Barnes is a work in progress and he's going to be a little bit hot and cold as he learns his trade in the Premier League and cuts his stripes, as it were. Jack, we need to win the next two games before we play Chelsea. I think we'd all be looking, Jack, for an upturn in form and maybe a little bit of a change of personnel, as we've talked about already today. Thomas, you're saying you're right about Albrighton. Be happy to get anything from him as he plays for Bournemouth. Ake, sorry, you're right about Ake. Sorry, Thomas, I misread your message. Theo, you're saying yeah, you're right, but same Liverpool, yeah, and Liverpool. What a side Liverpool are this season. Incredible, Theo, absolutely incredible. Michael, you're saying keep saying these youth players are smashing it. It must, etc. You cannot play Burnley and lower league games. Well, there we go, and there's lots of young players in our side at the minute as well, and that's something else. There's lots of players that are young and are learning their trade. Obviously, Maddison's not a seasoned Premier League player. He's still learning the game a little bit. Certainly Barnes too. Chowdhury's a young guy, and one game he'll have a fantastic game, another game he doesn't look quite so good. I think James Justin's going to be the same type of thing for Leicester City at the minute. I think that's pretty much from me today. I'm going to stop gabbling on and leave you guys to your Sunday morning, your breakfast, or your wander around, or your shopping, or whatever it is you're doing. I really appreciate you joining me this morning. I hope I did Jamie's aftermath show justice for you this morning, and got a bit of a debate going for you and gave something for you guys to talk about. To paraphrase how we've been speaking this morning, I think that most of us believe that Albrighton should be given a shout on the left, given Barnes' hit and miss performances of late. I think a lot of us are in agreement that Fuchs maybe should come in for Chilwell and just give Chilwell a little bit of breathing space, just to have a think a little bit and have a chat with Rodgers about how best to get his game going again, because he's been a little bit off. And I think also most of us agree that the fans picking on Chilwell during games isn't really conducive to him playing his best, and it doesn't help. A few more just trickling in, so I'll just read those out for you before I go. Jason saying, why are we playing from the back when losing with 5 minutes to go? Absolutely agree with you, Jason. I was screaming yesterday when we were looking and striving for that equaliser, and Schmeichel rolled it out to Chilwell, I think, and then we just ended up dribbling the ball between Evans and Siunchu and what have you, and just going nowhere with it. And you're looking at it, and you're looking at the clock, thinking we're into it. I mean, obviously you can't see the clock that well in the ground in injury time, but we must be into the 93rd and 94th minute here of what is 5 minutes injury time, and we're dribbling the damn ball around the defence. Why are we doing that? Why on earth has Schmeichel not just pumped that ball forward? I've got no idea, and maybe that's a question for Brendan Rodgers. Baz is saying, great show, thank you very much. Steve, thank you as well. Hope you've enjoyed it in Jamie's absence. Big boots to fill for me today, but I've enjoyed it certainly with you all today. And let's all hope collectively that things get better in the next game for City against Burnley, and we start to see a little bit of turn in form. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody. Thanks ever so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed spending the morning with you, or the half hour, 40 minutes it's been this morning with you. Yeah, good to chat with you all, and let's all get behind the City boys and hope for some better days than we had yesterday. Unfortunately, with that disappointing defeat, but let's hope we can all get behind the team and really give those guys the support they need to make sure we finish in that top four and we're all enjoying some Champions League European trips next season. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. You take care of yourselves and see you soon.